Exciting.
Nice. I see you're at the office as well. Perfect. So my name is Aya. I am one of the business development managers. I look after the South team. Today I'll be taking you a little bit more depth into understanding your matrix. Where are we in the sales cycle? And yeah, be happy to answer any of your questions. So to achieve the growth targets and the numbers that you will get as OKRs, we must win big deals. Ideally, we are working on enterprise and select accounts. And that means that we really try to get big numbers, big values. When you work with enterprise and select accounts, you will not be getting like a 5,000 K, $5,000 or $2,000. These are relatively very small values. These would be with SMB accounts or maybe starting to corporate. So when you look at your accounts, you would look at something 50K and higher. And I'm not saying this to scare you. This is actually happening. Like your colleagues are now creating opportunities that are 150, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, depending on the size of the opportunity. And hopefully I can walk you through this today. So how to get these mega deals, how to get these massive deals. So these deals happen by maybe smaller wins. So they could be different workloads, solving different business problems that the customer may have. And these business units and these like different business units within the customers are led by the different people in the company. So for example, if you talk to a CIO and he tells you like, we're working to do a digital transformation in the company, it's a very big word, very fluffy. What is the digital transformation? What are the things that you want to move to be more agile, to be more fast, to be more efficient? That takes you down to, okay, I'll talk to the applications manager, I'll talk to the infrastructure manager, I'll talk to the databases manager, and you start to find different solutions and different people within the company where they are part of that digital transformation journey that they want to do within the company, for example. And accordingly, it's a journey. It's not just a one big deal that you hit and run. Just give me 1 second. Thank you. So yeah, it's a journey. It's just not something that you do as a hit and run. It's something that it takes a little bit of time, and it takes some assessment that you do with the company to try to understand their requirements, what they need, and how can you resolve their issues. So as the slide says, we've got really big fish on that we can get, and very experienced fishermen in our team. So you need to utilize the resources. We're just a starting point in the experience. We're just a starting point within reaching out to the customer and finding out their needs. We have so many teams that are ready to jump and help you understand the size of the opportunity, as per your question, Ikram, help you to try to understand the different solutions that we can position. Ideally, from the training in these 2 weeks, by the end of it, or by the end of your onboarding, you'll understand a little bit the products. What are the questions that you ask? What needs do they tend to? But then the more you're more hands-on, you're talking to customers, you know the issues, you know the problems, you get to get more people to help. And then I'll take you through who are the people. Yeah. So within the sales cycle in cloud, so because these are big deals, the sales cycle takes a little bit longer. So if you're selling a $2,000 deal, or something that is relatively small, the customer can just buy it online and very easy to sell. But when you're targeting big customers, big names like, I don't know, Vodafone and Carrefour and the big names that we work with, it takes a little bit longer. It takes 6 months plus for every resource to be engaged, to look at the size of the opportunity, to finalize the resources, to finalize the contractuals and everything. It does take a little bit longer. And sometimes with bigger names, like bigger workloads, like for example, SAP, it could take 18 months plus to close that deal, just because it takes a long time to finalize the migration process. Yeah. So I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just giving you the picture and what we target, what we try to target ideally. Yeah. So As I was mentioning, there are different resources. So in select accounts and in enterprise accounts, there are sales, engineering, customer success resources that are very like available. In the critical, it is critical that you know your core competency, what you're there to do, what you're really good at, and that you divide and conquer. So ideally, you know your FSR, you know the CE, you know your partner team, you know who are the different resources. So the best way is that you don't waste a lot of effort joining too many follow-up meetings or joining meetings that maybe are not relevant to your core role. If you understand the problem, you write everything in Vector and Salesforce, you share the details with the FSR and the customer engineer. Maybe you join the second meeting and then you let them run with it because they all want to close it. They all want to get this deal as well. So think of everyone, the different roles, the different teams. We're all a big family and we're working towards the same target. So the ask is understand your competency, understand what you're really strong to do, what is your core role, and leverage the different resources that are there to do their role as well so that we all get to the same target. Any questions before we start to drill a little bit more into the processes and the nice little boxes? Clear? Perfect. Perfect. So if you look at the different stages or like how you're approaching an account, so where demand generation is at the very, very beginning of, as I was saying at the beginning, identifying a need, finding a problem within an account. And this is where we are at, anything in purple. So we're there to outreach and prospect, white space analysis, do white space analysis on the account, try to do strategic account mapping to understand the different accounts. If one account for one customer like is already on Google Cloud, why? What was the pain point? What did we resolve? How can I replicate this same story with the different other different customers in the same industry, for example? So if I work on telco, we have a use case with Vodafone. How can I replicate with Deutsche Telekom? And like I'm just putting names there with the different customers as well. So when I was in sales, if I introduce myself, I would say that I was a pre-sales consultant myself, and I was selling solutions myself. One of the key thing that was really strong for me at the time is that I understood the solutions and I used to leverage success stories in my pitch all the time. I would go in and say, so we've done this with Vodafone. We were able to decrease their downtime X. We were able to increase their customer satisfaction by 30%. I was always using numbers and I was always using different use cases. I wouldn't say it would make them jealous, but I would say the customers would want to do the same thing. They wanted to copy each other. They want to do what the market is doing. They want to do what is the best practices doing. So I would say understand what others are doing within the industry. Empower yourself with this knowledge. It will give you a very good edge while you're doing the white space analysis and understanding the account details. And then you have also, as part of your role, the inbound lead qualification. So sometimes actually customers want to work with us. So they would go on our portal and request sales, and you would get these as inbound leads rather than us doing the outbound and doing the outreach. So we're part of the demand generation. And then ideally, once you do that, give an example, you got a meeting with a big customer, the CIO of I don't know why Vodafone keeps coming to mind. And then, yeah, you start to tell the FSR, let them know about that meeting, and then it starts to move a little bit through the sales process where if it's the refine stage, maybe, okay, we need to understand that this is the solution that they want. The CE at that stage, so the customer engineer would start to help us to get to a technical win. How do they do that? So they execute mutual evaluation plan. They gather the technical requirements. They prove the technical efficiency and viability, because sometimes some of our products will not just plug in. They need a little bit of customization or some sort of third-party plugins, for example. So I would say be careful before committing to something technical if you don't understand it, and don't be scared to say, this is the very good question, but my customer engineer will answer it. They will gather more information on your technical environment and give you the best answer possible. Be careful on committing something technical to the customers. The different technologies and the different solutions and softwares out there are quite complex, and I would make sure you involve the right persona. So in that case, the customer engineer, they would, whenever they jump on the call, they would do all the different analysis to understand their technicalities and make sure our products will work with the customer and with the different solutions that are there. Ideally, that will reach to a technical evaluation process. And then if everything is good, products work well, integrations will work well, customization, everyone will be happy. This will actually solve their problem and their need. Then we go to proposal and negotiation. This is all in parallel with the FSR and the CAD. So as you see, this is the person who's responsible of the account. So he's always there involved in the process. And that will take a little bit more of a customer proposition win. Sorry, a commercial proposition win, because that in that case, we start to look at the numbers. Are we able to do any discounts? Are we able to look at, we're able to give them some credits, initial discounts, so that they start to use our platform a little bit for free, and then by 3rd or 4th month they start to pay. The FSR is aware of all the different commercial propositions he can put on the table to win the deal, especially if it's a competitive deal, if there are different if we're against Amazon and Azure and different competitions on the table as well, if it's an RFP or so. So the FSR will work with the finance team, with the deal desk. These are different teams within Google Cloud, to start to put a commercial proposition in place, and looking at making sure we don't have any product gaps. Ideally, it's a win deal. So say that we won the deal. How do we start to onboard? So that was a big story. Onboarding the customer and having them actually committing and using the product is it's a completely different story. This is where the professional services team or the professional services organization could jump in, where there's a customer success manager, there's a technical account manager, and these people are responsible of making sure that the customer starts to use the product and actually starts to spend. Yeah, I'm assuming you heard the word spend, because cloud, it's not a hit and run solution. The customer actually need to plug the products there and actually start to spend and use our solutions. So whenever this is the customer success manager, they do the onboarding kickoff, have a meeting. What is the plan? What we phase out the plan, especially if it's a big migration or so. How is the cloud transformation strategy? How is our maturity assessment? And then what is our success plan? There's a big learning plan that needs to take place as well. Learning and enablement is key to make sure that the customers adopt our products. So for example, I work for Vodafone. I'm ex-Amazon. I love Amazon products. I'm certified. I know everything about Amazon. And now the CIO is telling me we're migrating some of the products to Google. Like, what? I don't know. Like, I need to understand. I need to know how I will plug. I need to know if there are different commands. I need to know the technicalities behind it. So to make sure that the personnel within the account, within the customer, adopt the product, learn how to use it, learn how to implement it and integrate, it takes a little bit of time. And that's a key to the success of some of the migration projects. Some of the biggest deals that I closed could have failed miserably if it weren't for the technical team who wanted to adopt the product. So learning and looking at the consumption planning reviews, and then doing QBRs. QBRs are quarterly business review, to look at the ROI and measurements and how the product actually helped with the promises that you see, what the CE promised at the beginning of the cycle. So I'm just trying to explain to you the different stages and to tell you that it takes a little bit of time. We're at the very beginning, but there's a big army of people behind us as well that are really keen to make sure that we can close this deal. And at that stage, there could be some validation of new opportunities, maybe new workloads, maybe something else that the customer might need. That will come with the like the implementation and the different, like the stages when actually we start to put the product in place. Do you have any questions about this? Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, because you mentioned the RFP, do you see us already at that point that we are also looking into, okay, which criteria are in that RFP, or is that full on the responsibility of the FSR or CACs?
No, this is actually under the responsibility of the CE, but you would learn that initially. So if you're talking to a customer and you learn that there is an RFP that they were pushing to different vendors, that's definitely an opportunity. You need to jump on a call with the FSR, tell him that there's a big RFP that is pushed to the vendors. We need to find out. I'll schedule a meeting. We need to find out what is in the details of this RFP, and there's actually a place for us. So in that case, the FSR will find, okay, because it could be a win deal very easily. It means that the customer actually has a need. They worked on an RFP. They pushed it. They want to buy something. Surely, the question will be: did any other vendor help them write this RFP? Is it closed on Microsoft? Is it closed on Amazon? But that's not your job in that case. It will be with the FSR and the CE. And being a CE myself before, sometimes when I read the RFP, I would know if it's closed on someone else. I would know if that someone from Microsoft helped them write this RFP, or someone from IBM helped them write. So this custom comes from the CE, because they know the technical terms, they know the different details there, the clauses and everything. And that's when the CE will see, okay, how can we put a competitive edge there? At some point, if it's not a technical issue, it's a commercial issue. So maybe the FSR could try to put a massive discount in place or put credits. It's for them to try to win, but it's for us to try to find out if there's actually something going on.
Maybe one question, just follow-up question on that out of
Yeah.
curiosity. Do we have strong relationships then with our GSI or RSI that they might know if they are also on that account, or how does that interface look like? Because most of the RPs are, outsourced, I would say.
Very good question, Torben. It depends on the country. Some countries have very strong GSI relationships and have very strong relationships with their partners, where the partners are already there, maybe sold something else, and they are aware. In some countries, unfortunately, this relationship and this foundation is still being built. And there are SIs in countries, there are partners, but maybe it's not as strong with Google Cloud. So maybe if you're covering Germany, maybe it's the case. Maybe you have strong SIs in place and you have strong partners. In the case of France, for example, it's not the case. They're still building that. So you're lucky. You would be lucky if you have that in place. We're working to have an XDR to partner flow, where you can actually, in that level of engagement, get a partner involved as well, maybe to try to speed things up. But it's a very good question, and my answer would be, it depends on the country, and it depends on the maturity of the partners in the country. So that you will take later with your FSR to understand the maturity level and who to engage from the partners and the SIs. Adrien, you have a question?
I do. Thanks for the presentation.
Yeah.
So it looks like the BDRs, or the selling, the BDR and the selling process, it's kind of how can I say it? Straightforward, which is basically yes or no. I believe we should move forward with refine the tech evaluation with FSRs and customer engineer, right?
Mhm.
Can you provide us with additional information how we can support during the selling process
Mhm.
some of our FSRs or customer engineers, instead of only doing with the qualification call, right?
No, I think at the beginning, it's not a yes or no. Yeah, it's just because if it's a yes or a no, we're not selling one product. Yeah,
Okay.
you're selling different things as well. You're talking to different personas, whether you're selling Looker or selling BigQuery or selling infrastructure as a service, the different people on this call, you're selling different things. Yeah, it's not just the one product you're selling. So it's not a yes or a no.
Okay.
But for the sake of, like, whenever you know more about your product, you're able to position better with the first call.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, your role is at the beginning, where you're able to find that need, convince the customer to have the call or the meeting, and you let the FSR and the CE do their job forward. In some later situations where you've got the role, you're happy with it, you've done it really easily, you want to join a little bit some of these meetings to learn, you could do that. But at the beginning, we ask the team not to waste a lot of time involved in later stages while there's nothing for us really to do there. So for educational purpose, if you want later to join these calls, you can tell the FSR for you to maybe learn a little bit about it. But for now, we are at the beginning of the sales cycle.
Okay.
And I think the next slide, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Last question. So, on the same call, right? On the same qualification call, most of the current BDRs in Google Cloud are able to see if they need, for instance, Dataproc, Dataflow, Looker in one single call, or do they need follow-up calls to ask other questions regarding other products?
So ideally, you're able to ask the same person some of these questions at the beginning. But I would say if you're talking to someone senior, like if you're talking to a CIO or a CTO, they wouldn't really understand these products.
Okay.
And sometimes they wouldn't even know how they would help them in their organization, yeah, because they are product names. But we would position more from a business aspect, a business value proposition, to get that CIO or CTO to give the green light, so that you have a call with the head of data, head of analytics, head of applications, to talk to the practitioners who are hands-on and know these products. Yeah. So it's not with the same person, but I would say with the CTO, CIO, I wouldn't say, I want to tell you Looker, or I want to tell you Dataproc. They would be like, what is this? I don't have time for this. We would be mostly talking about the value proposition and how we can bring together as a team, as a value. And then, yes, exactly. As a team, as a value, ideally you would be pitching the whole Google Cloud scenario, Google Cloud value proposition. And then with the follow-up call with the practitioners, or with the a little bit head of applications or head of data, you can position your own products in the meantime and say what is the value they will bring. And at that time, you could pull the GCP rep, you could pull the workspace rep. It depends on what is their need. But we always try to go in with the big picture, because you can help position so many things. And then whenever you have that second meeting secured, you can take it from there and roll the ball and start to position many other things as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anytime. So this slide is mostly on connecting the sales process to the sales stages, because as you thought, our stage is pretty small, but there are different things that we need to do within our part as well. So if it's an inbound or a marketing qualified lead that we got, or sales contact request that the customer has, this comes to us. Organizing and planning who you will talk to, about what, as I said, different industries, what are the use cases. What I was just telling Adrien, you come in with the use case, with the bigger value, with what we can propose as Google Cloud, not just as an infrastructure as a service or a platform as a service. They couldn't care less how they will reach there. They want to increase customer satisfaction. They want to reduce their spend on, I don't know, downtime. How can we help measure these aspects? So my first question to them would be, what is your main pain point now? What is your need? What we're currently doing with X is this, and that. How can we help you as Google Cloud? And then once you secure that meeting, then you can pull the different resources in place. So yeah, ideally what we're doing, the norm is the prospecting. Either it's coming as an inbound or from our planning. And then you would create the opportunity and then have the meeting with the FSR, where they will move the opportunity to stage 1 if it's a valid opportunity, and then they will take it from there. Because also the FSR are paid on the spend, so they are compensated on the spend. So I'm not sure if anyone clarified it before. Our OKRs are mostly on the number of opportunities we generate and the value that are moved to stage 1. But the FSR are not comped on the opportunities they open. They are comped on what they close and how much they spend. So they are there to try to move the opportunities fast down the sales cycle, so stage 2, stage 3, because hopefully they will ramp, implement, optimize, and start to actually spend. So it's important to understand different people's OKR so that you align together. So that's why we are there for the creation. The FSR are there to try to progress these deals and close them so that they spend from our platform. So again, a little bit more depth into the stages. So stage 0 include understanding the customer's background. Well, who are the key stakeholders within the account? what is the current IT environment they have in place, what are the different solutions they have embedded, any competition they have, any existing cloud they're using, what are the different, what is their like the solutions that they use currently, are they on Microsoft, are they on Google Workspace, what are these different products that they have, do they have people working remotely, do they have people only in the office? All these questions translate into solutions, but we need to ask these questions. And then ideally the account plan. So we start by finishing the account plan with your FSR. You align, they tell you these accounts we want to work on. You work on the account plan, and then you start to do all this in details. Then in stage 1, they start to assess whether we are actually fit there or not. When I was telling you with the CE, they start to see, will the project actually work or not? Our integrations, will they work or not? Our solutions, will they fit or not? As maybe you heard it before, we're not there to do a lift and shift. We're not there to replace an existing cloud vendor. Maybe we're there to integrate. Maybe we're there to do a multi-cloud implementation. It will make much more sense. So to understand and to see how we're going to fit together. And stage 2, as I said, proving the technical viability, gaining the customer commitment, and doing the commercials. And then this is all involved in stage 4. Pre-ramping, ramping, migrating, and then optimizing, and ideally closing. And here you can see this is us, then mostly the FSR with the CE, FSR, and this is the PSO or partner or the TAM or the customer success manager. So moving a little bit into details and to qualify, and because we are the owners of this stage, the objective of the stage is to understand the customer's background, key stakeholders, current IT. These are the different activities, and there are different tricks there. So whenever you have access to this, all of these are links to different activities. So how to triage the marketing qualified leads. So how to actually look at the qualified leads, because it's part of your role. How to, it's a long document, but it's worth going through it. So what is our role? How do we work together? And marketing, where's the marketing qualified leads? Where's the marketing qualified leads? 16. Yeah, so here, leveraging the marketing qualified leads. How do you work through this process? There's an SLA of 72 hours for following up on these marketing qualified leads. So you will have this and have the document after to understand. Understanding the customer business objectives. This is one of the activities. Network the current and previous Google relationships. So this is really important, because if you're looking at a customer, you need to understand maybe someone else worked with this customer. You don't want to push it, and you want to understand the previous engagement. So you can find this on Vector if anyone starts. So for example, I see Joseph. Maybe I tried to talk to Joseph before. He's the CIO of Vodafone. I'm not the first person who tried to talk to Joseph. Maybe Ikram tried to call him. Kiran tried to call him. Nikki tried to call him. So you will see all the different touches to Joseph on Vector. And it's wise to keep the break, like in the cadence in between, so that Joseph will not just block us and say, I'm going to sue Google, yeah? So it's wise to check the touch points on Joseph. Who was the latest person who talked? Maybe it's wise that I sync with Ikram and Kiran and say why they talked to Joseph before. What was the context? Is there any possibility? Were they selling Chrome? Were they selling something else? Can they introduce us? Yeah, there's a very nice tool as well called Kerrigan. So if on Kerrigan you can check who is the owner of this FSR, if there's any engagement from cross-function. There's a different product as well, link we have called One Google. So if there's anyone from ads, from YouTube, from data, like different resources within Google as well, wider Google, that got in contact with Joseph before I actually engage. And sometimes having some of these people introduce us could even be better, because it's coming from someone who's already working with Joseph. Yeah, make sense? Make sense? So for example, I can give you context. I was working with a customer in UK called Reed Recruitment. So if you know Reed, it's a big customer recruitment company, and it's based in the UKI, and it has different subsidiaries. And the CIO was a very arrogant guy, very arrogant. I got on a call with him and he's like, I'm on the Forbes, less than 35 years old, I'm a genius, la la la. And he just like, we don't need Google Cloud, we have Amazon, blah, blah, blah. On one Google, I was able to find that they are one of the biggest spenders with Google Ads. So I went across and I found the contact from the LCS team, the large customer sales team from Google Ads. And the lady, I sent her an email at the time and I told her, hi, I know you know this person. He's giving me a hard time to schedule a meeting. Can you secure a meeting, please? And at the time, I was actually in London. So she told me, I'm in London. If you're in London, I'm going to meet him. Then you can come with me. And then I went with her. So we went to the office. He did not expect me at all. I went to the office with him, with her to the meeting. And like he was doing an introduction. I was like, hi, Aya. I was trying to call you a couple of months back. It's a pleasure to see you. But when the introduction came from the LCS team, he took it lightly. He's like, I told you I don't want to work with Google Cloud. I'm like, no, let's give it another try. And I had a presentation in place and how we can plug in and there's no need to pull out Amazon. And it actually ended up to be a big deal. So the moral of the story is leverage the resources, leverage the existing contacts. If you're having pushback from someone, try someone from the wider Google, from ads or from the analytics or from the different team to give you a nice introduction. Then ideally you would research, Joseph, go ahead.
So if I'm looking at an account on Vector, I can find directly whatever they're spending, not only on Google Cloud, I can see also what they're spending on Google Ads, and then I can make the link with someone from LCS, or it doesn't work that way?
Not everyone in Google is using Vector, mostly us, and we have different instances. How you can find is on one Google. So it's a different link. I can share it with you later, where you put the name of the account and you find the different resources across Google that are engaged with this existing customer.
Perfect. Yeah? Thank you.
So yeah, researching the company, understanding their background. When you do the research, you know the knowledge beforehand. You're not surprised in the meeting. You know, yes, I'm aware that you're currently using Microsoft, but on which products and how can we enhance and how can you have a healthy multi-cloud environment? So not just when you know that there's a competition, it doesn't mean that the conversation is closed. There are so many different things that you can do. It's actually time saver. If the customer is already on cloud, it means that they are a little bit mature. So it will make your conversation and life a little bit easier, where in compared to talking to a customer who has no idea about cloud and he's like, no, my stuff next to me, not on the cloud. I'm very protective of my stuff. And it takes a long time to try to convince them to move to cloud. So if you're talking to customers, understanding the customer's landscape is really important. Their competitive landscape, their current existing solutions in place, so that you're able to position yourselves a little bit better. I think this is the same document, you guys. It's different. The different activities are in the different metrics. Yeah, so here, okay? I'll share that with you after. And then developing the awareness of GCP. So this is between yourself and the FSR. So understanding, if you schedule the meeting, you have the readiness for the FSR. So you schedule the meeting with the FSR and then develop the awareness, understanding the customer's current IT environment, then building the strategy for the account. This is all where we are sitting. So it's not just a yes or a no. It's so many different activities. What are our deliverables? So our deliverables is updating anything that you need to do with FSRs. You need to let the FSR know that they need to upload all the account plan and everything on Vector. They do that, not us. And whenever you create an opportunity, it's for the FSR to accept it or reject it. So qualify. The objective, these are all the activities that you apply on a qualify stage. These are the deliverables, and this is the exit criteria. And here on the RACI matrix, it tells you what are we responsible for, what is the FSR accountable for, what are we consultant on. So this is a really good matrix, works almost every time. Any questions on this? Happy? Okay. Now with refine, it's a little bit on the stage 1 acceptance. So ideally that the FSR accepted the opportunity. It's more of the FSR CE part, where they're on a consultant base. So as I said, sometimes you can join the meeting, 1 or 2 meetings, because you built that, you generated that, you know why you created the opportunity, so you might as well join 2 or 3 meetings there. because your opinion is needed on understanding the competition or leveraging the industry ecosystem to drive the C-level comfort with Google ability to solve problems, understanding the internal peoples in the role. So with your research, ideally, you would have a plan, a map. The CIO, it has a CTO, CIO, then there is the IT head director, head of applications, head of infrastructure, how are they mapped? They work a little bit with the marketing. I know the different people, you know the different people, and ideally you've talked to different people within the company so you know their needs, their requirements, and all of that. So you will be pulled a little bit to make on this refine, to make sure that the FSR is happy and they accept it. And then the deliverable, they need to update vector, put the mutual evaluation plan, make sure the solution tagging is correct, and then they take it from there. I'll leave this for you to go through as well for details. Any questions on the stages, the activities, before we go into the compensation? Cool, perfect. So the comp plan, and FYI, this might change. So now we have the Looker and the data analytics team in place. We will have workspace team in place. This is just to explain to you how the current BDRs are comped, and this is subject to change. Okay, so maybe it will be different for everyone, but it's on the same concept. So the perf period is quarterly. Yeah, so you have your quota every quarter, and you work towards these targets on a quarterly basis. You have the quota is coming from the account alignment that you have in place. So we always try to finish the account alignment and assignment at the beginning of the quarter so that you have the book of business updated on Vector, on Cockpit, everywhere. This is how your quota is decided. What is the expectation to generate from these accounts? Yeah. And then you will have two buckets. Bucket one is the stage one accepted pipeline. And bucket two is the stage one accepted pipeline of the number of ops. So you will have the number of ops and the value. And it's a 50-50. Yeah. So to give you an example, some of the reps last quarter were supposed to generate 27 of opportunities of 8.9 million or 8 million, for example. Again, that's reference to everyone. Not everyone has the same targets. It depends on the number of accounts, and it has so many different things in the background. So ideally, before the generalists, they will pay on everything. So if they generated GCP, security, APG, workspace, Looker, the expectation, I think, is that will change. We're still waiting for update on that. But this is genuinely how everyone is paid. We do have soft OKRs like logging the activities and the meetings and things. However, you're not comped on it. You're not paid on it. Yeah. Is this clear? Clear? Ikram?
Yes, I have a question. You said you're not paid on what? Sorry, you're not comped on what?
You're not comped on the soft OKRs. So if like you have a target in the quarter, for example, to have 100 meetings or 50 meetings,
Yes.
you need to log them, you need to have them, but it's not part of the compensation.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're not comped on the soft OKRs, the calls, meetings. These are not part of your compensation. Your compensation is part of the bucket one, bucket two opportunities that are accepted, moved into stage one, the number of ops and this value of these opportunities.
Yeah, okay, perfect. And for example, can you overachieve on the number of ops?
Yes. So that's what that was taking me to my mechanics. So you're on sales. If you're in sales, you always want to overachieve because you always want to make more money.
Yeah.
And so the mechanics of it is that there is a payout curve and there's an acceleration. So if you do less than 100%, you paid exactly the same. So if you do 80%, they do they put in a specific equation and look at the sum of both of them. There is an accelerator. If your quota is higher than 100%, it's multiplied by 2. However, you're capped at 200%. Yeah, so you cannot get paid higher than 200%. If you get 200%, you can get 200% of your salary, but you cannot get paid 250 or 300.
Yeah, but that's motivational because if you know you can do more, you will start.
Yes,
next
absolutely.
One.
Yeah, absolutely. So give me 1 second. I think I need to be in a different meeting. Yeah.
But
So yeah, as I said, this is the motivation because you work in sales, so you always want to achieve more. So yeah, this is part of it. But the cap is 200%. So some of my reps plan to get 200% every quarter because they want to pay 200% of their salary.
yeah,
You have a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. So let's assume that you overachieve in one of them, let's say number of hours, but you underachieve in another one, like ACV. Like to determine whether you have achieved 100% of your target, do they do an average? And since you overachieve in one but underachieve in one on average, do they estimate that you have reached 100% or not?
This slide answers your question. So if on the
Yeah,
number of
sorry.
ops you have 10 ops and your target was 12, and if you got 18 million and your target was 15, it looks as the average. There is a BDR calculator here in place. I'll share it with you later. It gets the average of both. And if it's 100, if it's less than 100, it's exactly the same. If it's more than 100, you get multiplies by 2.
Okay,
Fair?
great.
I'll share with you the calculator as well for later. The reporting dashboard, I think I created this dashboard before. I think very important that you make sure everything is logged on Vector. Your calls, your connects, your contacts, your meetings, your values, because we do look at it. It's your single source of truth to track your numbers and accordingly your compensation. We have Vector and we have Plex, and Plex pulls the data from Vector. So you need to make sure everything is on Vector. Contacts, emails, meetings, everything is there. Again, because if we're going to be different people contacting the same person, we need to be sure that we log everything on the system to avoid like multiple outreaches to the same person or having escalation. So make sure everything is there. There is a reporting dashboard for everyone and for each team, and there's a one for EMEA as well. Final closing thoughts. So the best for the customer is our North Star. How you team to deliver on your personal goals while balancing customer and business goals is key. So you need to mostly look at how you prioritize and how you work towards your stakeholder management skills. So this is what the purpose of this deck is, to tell you that there are different resources, there are different stakeholders you need to leverage. You need to make sure that the customer reach their own plans, and while you learn through the process as well. Any questions? Perfect. That's it from me this week, this session. If you have any other questions, do let me know. I will share with you the calculator later. And if you have anything else that you need to ask, I'm available. You know me, you just ping me and I'll be happy to answer all your questions.
Thanks, Ayat. Thanks very much for going through all that. That was really, really useful. Much appreciated. The deck, is that in the agenda?
It's in the agenda. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks.
Perfect. I'll jump on another call. It was a pleasure. I'll stop the recording and I'll see you later. Thanks, Fintan. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ayat.
Bye.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Ayat.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, by the way, guys, anyone know when the next call is?
11:15. 11:15. It's active listening until 12.
Great, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, talk to you later, guys.
Yep. See you.
Hey, Torben. You still there? Torben?